This is a harmonic beat.
Hell's hot, but get cold when this winter. My earth takes a break, quake cities off the cliff, down deep sea into mountain, continental shift. The continent could drown or rip. There's more, think not. You don't know what I'm into, where I'm at. It's all in the mental, smack all instrumental around me. It's all about my circle squared up, for my nature, fear not. Love bravery, I'm out. I didn't make her, she made me to create the world. The home she in, shape her skin, contain a frame, no minor. She a major win, angel and grew up educated on the demons, baby scaly wings, angel paper bullshit, the motherfucker for that. Got nothing to back, Negro black colored, on the chopping block, still on the block, chopping whatever they rap, rob, recover the chop, the world's shaking. Still my words, just take it in, hear me speaking out your ear holes. How can you retain a quote? Stop, your brains bang, shot, but still you won't crow. Commander in chief, masters turn sheep at the battle. Stay chattel to eat, and wolf for my white beats. At times a werewolf, they attack me, and turn food towards the garden. Water make the black sea. Black meal, black clothes, black blues. Black fish, black ball, black food. Black meal, black cheese, black news. No such thing as black man. Black meal, black clothes, black blues. Black fish, black ball, black food. Black meal, black cheese, black news. But no such thing as a black man. Roses all red, green, gun, copper shot, pop, bust, and he left in the lead, no weeds, no seeds. I'm his skull and his backbone ripped with his voice tone. I'm just saying a heartbeat, consanguinity though. Got some more bites, I'm a civil. I get you with my pen, no more dog fights and scribbles. Enforcing treaties, I'm a caustic greedy, dressed in costumes to greet me. You think you know how this is gonna end? Really? Show the beginning. Apocalypse now, the dead don't know about the living. And why I can't kill them, and why I try to lift them. Stand, more mass don't make you a bigger man. It's mental. Just keep going. Black bell, black coat, black blues. Black fish, black ball, black food. Black bell, black cheese, black news. No such thing as black man. Black bell, black coat, black blues. Black fish, black ball, black food. Black fish, black cheese, black news. But no such thing as a black man. What? So it's gonna get you in. What? What? I'm rocking. Who says we ain't in the building? Who says we ain't into building? We the Moorish master masons, architects for your children, repping Friday 30s like Jason, without the killing. But we promote light, oh, it's all about the feeling. And we invoke light, yo, we them light beings. Though you might see him on the block getting his posture, might be talking to cops, giving him caution. Occasionally wearing his fez when he's walking, see the turning heads.
whispering gawking, but he's locked in and he's zoned out while we boxed in our own house. Study the mystics, the adepts, the magi, wisdom of the ancients can all calcify eyes. Possible mission, free mental numbness, extract the substance, rid minds of darkness. Use the source, don't care what some purport, as we know by being told man knows not. Many before the cross, souls got bought, placed in the devil's hands, ruling the seven lands. To dogma rituals, Negro spirituals, brainwash subliminal, keeps thinking to a minimal. They're still criminal, in a world digital so pitiful. Mental survival so critical, it's visible. Can you see past like the spots? Hashtag zombies with waves of cyber thoughts. No need for cell phones, they speak from soft arms. It's nothing for alarm, chips and forearms. Wind, brags, and bass, such a beautiful serenade. Women feeding me grapes, I'm feeding the Henry serenades. Whether the sky is clear or gray, rain when you hear it fake, giving life to see. Speaking through who not here today. Show you the future in a glimpse. And always look to these holes like hallucinatory camps. Sun walked the desert, been more of a sense. I found God, look back, used to see his prince. Forget being a prince, I'm a G. OD, grown man, no Jody, deny you, you don't know me. Don't make me tap into the old me. That's like a couple hundred years. Walk around town with a couple hundred peers and release the peace of up fears. The sun gon' shine, so what fears? This young brother here just trying to get his third eye clear. This Moors don't sleep. Invest in your mind, body, and unleash. Real life rap, spitting over tracks. Conscious thinking and living and then attack. This Moors don't sleep. Invest in your mind, body, and unleash. Real life rap, spitting over tracks. Conscious thinking and living and then attack. So as the moon sets, the sun takes its place and spoons on blocks, inspired spots, fill spaces, peel back, rats, who got cases, fire stain the corridors of demo faces, game changers, rule benders and no pretenders, style benders, channel my vibe through the vibe and optic lenses, send a message to our veterans, soldiers up and get it in, we on our birds, we on merge, subliminal beings, third eye seeing, still I participate unwilling.
They wanna break me, shake, break, me, rolling with my name G, double O-M-G, S-O-N is crazy for a minute that you think you can take me for a fool like a native to his land, being schooled by a foreign dude. You mistaken me, spotters on the roof, in the dark trees, I've been saying you mistaken me, to better move for our market, power pin is my tongue, to resistance to target, revealing all lies and deceit on the market, genocide, carry out in pockets, I knock it, down bulldozer, David to Goliath, it's an exposure, some big heads ruling and it's getting closer to your downfall, round up all your soldiers.
Little homie, I was seeking a fortune, tired of misfortune. I just wanted a portion, everything that I never had, though I needed my portion. Blowing like porcelain, haters battling porcelain. Dead broke, tired of being broke. How we acquire hope if we keep still as a dope, just to keep us afloat. Mind as deep as the boat, brain is the lethal weapon we want it to below. When I speak up a boat. Walk in the room with my aura feeling like heavy smoke. Feel like when they let me broke. Under my Louis fitted to send me poke. Cause then we captured the kill the boy, yeah, the joke. The cost of living, higher profits and private prison. These little girls are selling bodies just to pay tuition. These little niggas selling niggas just to build addiction. It's like the state can never end the break in the mission. I wanna free the world, but I'm one man. A couple ones like me and me one plan. I wanna free the world, but I'm one man. A couple ones like me and one plan.
Islam, Moors, peace and love. Don't forget willofalah.com. Go pick up all your Moorish music, all your Moorish hip hop, spoken word, whatever else. Peace, Moor.
Peace. How you doing?
Everything's good, yo. I'm live right now, just so you know.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So, we had the first session. And you know, there was some feedback and stuff like that. So we say we might as well try round 2. You know.
Okay.
So wherever you want to start. Oh yeah, and just so you know, we have also Brother Yusuf on the line as well. One of the Moors who does some of the sessions with me. So yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna stream about in the next 5 minutes.
Yeah, no problem.
So,
take your time.
Okay. All right, man. You gotta go, bro. I'll see.
So we're gonna wait for 5 minutes.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. I'll hit you back in 5, or if you want to hold for
Okay.
5 or whatever.
Okay. Okay. So call back in 5 minutes.
All right.
Call back in 5.
All right.
Okay. All right. Peace.
So it's a point of proving that Moors aren't out here. We don't want to build and we don't want to whatever. Because people want to play their little game like they don't know that we're all Moors. You know, like we said, we had the first session, and people on that session, you know, thought they knew something. You know, once again, the brother Jay, you know, we sent a message back, exchanged emails, and we're building. And then it turned into, you know, a couple other Moors were there, you know what I'm saying? And it was what it was. Moors just standing on their square that we're Moors. That's it. There's ain't nothing other than that. That's all it is. You know? And trying to bring others in, not excluding. You know what I mean? Like I'm telling you, yo, that's your trunk of gold right there. Nah, I don't want that. I don't have to take that. That's not mine. What do you mean that's not yours? Well, my descendancy is whatever from some European chart that they got says that they're Indians from some tribe. You know, just like we showed you the dictionary that it was European, put out the dictionary for the Choctaw language. This European knows that much Choctaw, or is it you guys' dictionary? And if it's your dictionary, how come your face is not it?
Right.
Now you talk about Moors, don't put no European in the place of Moors and say Moors. This is a Moorish whatever. They let you know what's up. And so we did the round one. The round one, the indigenous stuff got beat up. Just go watch it. You know what I mean? Because we don't play that. Our prophet was Cherokee. Our prophet was Cherokee, and he said he's not Cherokee and he's not Indian and all that. So what the hell are people talking about?
Yeah. Born on a reservation.
I wasn't even watching the time. Did 5 minutes pass? Because I know these guys get nervous and think we're running or something. Hold on, let me call him right now.
Because you know how we get. You know how we get.
Hold on. I don't even know if it's 5 minutes yet.
Peace, man. Peace.
Peace. You're good?
What's going on, bro? We go ahead and get on, and we can
chop it up. All right, we're here. We're just when you're ready, just let me know. We're just here building because I'm live too right now.
Okay. Yeah. All right, bro.
All right. Yeah. So we had the round one. We had the round one. It's not like there was anything to get hype about, you know what I mean? It was just building. And the fact of the matter that these people want to be everything except Moors. Why? I don't know. I don't get it. I really can't comprehend how you'll claim to be everything that Moors also claim, but Moors, they want nothing to do with that. You know, so that's part of where, you know, we want to get out of them, because the whole thing too we were talking about is making sure that they answer some questions too.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because certain things we're not really sure about. You know? But it's gonna be a good build, you know, bro Jay. Just, you know, another Moor out there getting the word out to the people. You know, best that you can. I was talking with another Moor earlier that we were saying, hey, you know, judge nobody. Do what you do that you think is gonna help our people. But don't get mad when certain people want to stop you in your tracks because you might not be exactly where you're supposed to be. You know. So we're gonna give it one more try, see if he's on yet. As you know, we got some patience, but those people's viewers over there, they don't got patience and stuff. They get mad because they gotta wait and stuff like that. Don't get mad, just chill. What's the problem? Just chill. Nah. Hold on, Mark.
All right, man. I'm coming on now.
All right.
Okay. All right. Peace.
You know, this man keep hanging up and stuff. Yeah, more. Hold on, because John's confusing me right now. So, you know, just chill. Let's see if I find something for you, Mars. Now we see what's going on here. Yeah, we could run this one more time. Why not? Beat him in the head again.
I'm gonna get you in. What? What? I'm rockets. Who says we ain't in the building? Who says we ain't in the building? We the Moorish master masons, architects for your children, repping Friday 13th like Jason without killing. We promote life, oh, it's all about the feeling. And we invoke life, yo, we them life beings. Though you might see him on the block getting his posture, might be talking to cops, giving them caution, occasionally wearing his vest when he's walking, see the turning heads, whispering, gawking, but he's locked in and he's zoned out while we boxed in our own house.
Study the mystics, the adepts, the magi, wisdom of the ancients can all calcify as possible mission. Free mental numbness, extract the substance, rid minds of darkness. Use the source, don't care what's up before, as we know by being told man knows not. Many before the fall, souls got bought, placed in the devil's hands, ruling the seven lands. To dogma rituals, Negro spirituals, brainwash subliminal, keeps thinking to a minimal. They still criminal, in a world digital so pitiful. Mental survival so critical, it's visible. Can you see past like this box? Hashtag zombies with waves of cyber thoughts. No need for cell phone, they speak from soft arms. It's nothing for alarm, chips and forearms.
Wind, brass, and bass, such a beautiful serenade. Women feeding me breaks, I'm feeding the in these serenades. Whether this night is fair or gray, rain when you hear it fake, giving life to see. Drinking food I hear today.
Show you the future in a glance. And I was looked to these holes like hallucinatory events. Sun walked the desert, been more of a since I found God. Look back, used to see his friends. Forget being a prince, I'm a G. OD grown man, no joke, deny you don't know me. Don't make me tap into the old me. That's like a couple hundred years. Walk around town with a couple hundred peers and release the peace of fears. The sun gon' shine, so what tears? This young brother here just trying to get his third eye clear. Moors don't sleep. Invest in your mind, body, and unleash. Real life rap, spitting over tracks. Conscious thinking and living a dead attack. This Moors don't sleep. Invest in your mind, body, and unleash. Real life rap, spitting over tracks. Conscious thinking and living a dead attack.
So as the moon sets, the sun takes its place. It spoons on blocks, inspired spots, fill spaces. Peel back, rats, who got cases. Fire stain the corridors with flemo faces. Game changers, rule benders, and no pretenders. Style benders, channel my vibe through the vibrant optic lenses. Send a message to our veterans. Soldiers up and get it in. We on our birds, we on merge subliminal beings. Third eye seeing, still I participate unwilling.
They wanna break me, shake, bake, gravy. Rolling with my name G, double OMG. SON is crazy for a minute that you think you could take me for a fool. Like a native to his land, being schooled by a foreign dude. You can stay with me, spot is on the roof. In the dark rooms, I've been saying you can stay with me. To better move or I market. Power things my tongue, your existence to target. Revealing all lies and deceit on the market. Genocide carried out in politics, I knock it down, bulldozer. Gave it to Goliath, it's an exposure. Some big heads ruling and it's getting closer to your downfall. Round up on your soldiers.
Little homie, I was seeking a fortune, tired of misfortune. I just wanted a portion, everything that I never had, though I needed my portion. Blowing like porcelain, haters cracking the porcelain. Dead broke, tired of being broke. How we acquire hope is just to keep us afloat. Might as deep as the boat. It's a lethal weapon, we want it to alone. When I speak, I provoke.
Man, because like I said, I'm on everything and all that.
No, it's all good. It's all good. It's all good. Yeah. So we're here. This is Love Boys. So yeah, we can start off with whatever questions you got. You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hold on. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, peace, man. Peace.
Yes, peace, brother.
Wow.
Brother Yusuf,
But
you there?
yeah.
All right.
So my thing is like, what are the differences between Moors and those of us who call ourselves Aboriginals, Indians? What's the difference? I feel like we're like the same to an extent.
Yeah, we are the
But
same.
there's like any.
We are the same. But let me ask you this question. Do you recognize the people who call themselves Cherokee?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
You mean the Fadal Indians, or do you mean our people?
No, like forget Indians and Indigenous and whatever. There's people who say we are Cherokee. Right? Without saying anything else, not attaching any colors or whatever like that, just saying that only.
Right.
Right?
Right.
We both agree that there's a people called that, right?
Right, correct.
Okay. Noble Drew Ali is from those people. And he went around telling the people who look like him, a Cherokee, that they didn't come over here on a slave ship, that they're Moors, and they're from here. Now, he didn't say that those people were not Cherokee, but he said that they're Moors because he's one, and he called himself a Moor.
Right.
And if he's coming from the position of a quote-unquote sachem or a high priest as far as indigenous culture, Cherokee culture, right? Not only because of the job that he was brought to do for the Negro, black, and colored people who were thought they came over here on a slave ship and they were in mental slavery, didn't know who they were. But he also came to all the other people who fell for the brands after the reconstruction of history.
Exactly.
That created this illusion that we all think about. As soon as we start thinking about Indigenous and Aboriginal, we start going into not recognizing who the Europeans had to deal with to even come over here. Forget the people who they met here.
Right.
Who are the people that these Europeans went to that said, okay, see over there, we'll set up 13 colonies over there for you.
Right.
So you can be free from the slavery that you're getting in Europe by these Moors.
Right. Right.
So these people's jurisdiction was only the 13 colonies. They weren't supposed to go past the 13 colonies. So how'd they get into the mainland that they're talking about Trail of Tears and sending people through Oklahoma or whatever? You know how far that is from the 13 colonies?
Very far.
All right. It was the people who were not Moors that started falling for the, oh, European has a little bell. Oh, yeah, give us that and we'll give you our daughter. Oh, European has some blankets. Yeah, give us that and we'll give you, you know, food.
Right.
And that's how these people got into the mainland. And in 2018 now, we're saying, hey, the brand names is what has us in this messed up situation, because we had a Cherokee that came to us in 1913 telling us that we're Moors, which if we go check the record, nobody's going to argue that Moors are the indigenous people of the Americas. Only people who want to be the names that Noble Drew Ali didn't say be have that problem.
Right. Got you. Got you.
So we're not abandoning Cherokee or Indian or whatever. We know that from a historical perspective, the best representation that our people could take as a global front against European, white, whatever supremacy is that we're Moors. Because as soon as you go there, these Europeans know exactly what you're talking about and what you mean and what direction you're heading in, and they better get in line with it. Because they've been violating treaties that they've been violating treaties with indigenous Indian whatever, right? They've been violating treaties, right? The indigenous who look like you and me, we're not getting what the European looking Indians are getting. Out in this jurisdiction, all the so-called Indian chiefs are Europeans. This is in this jurisdiction. The ones that the government said we're going to give 20 million to and we're going to give whatever to, and that's only going to the chief, that's not going to the reserves. It's the Europeans that's on the top. And again, and we're speaking to them out here, and they're agreeing that, yeah, you guys are the ones speaking about us, are the real indigenous that should be the ones getting whatever. Right. So we're not saying Moors. We're not saying Moors from just our personal feelings or whatever. This is a world thing. Right? For example, there's a Chinese national. There's a Chinese national, right? That emailed me because his perspective is he knows that it's corporate everywhere. It's not just corporate in U.S. and Canada and, you know, the one or two South American jurisdictions that these people are handling. Even across the planet, these people have their hand in everybody's stuff.
Right.
And everybody knows that the foundation is tying back to the history of the Moors. There's a Chinese national that's a Bay that we know.
Wow. Are you talking about Afro-Chinese or
no, like
Chinese?
Like Chinese.
Wow.
Bay.
What's its appellation?
Let me get it because it's slipping me right now.
Say that again?
The appellation is slipping me right now, but I'm gonna get it.
Yeah, that's one the brother's title.
So we gotta put him on the record for sure.
Yeah.
We gotta even
are you talking about me?
Put him on the record. No,
the Chinese national.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, some people on my end, they can't hear it, so that's why
I was going to say the same thing too, Great Sheep. Like you sound a little muffled.
How am I sounding now?
Oh, perfect.
No, on you're on speaker on your end.
Yeah, my bad. Let me take y'all speakerphone. My bad. I apologize. Okay, I'm back. Okay. Yeah.
So you could just.
But yeah,
you can just turn down your. Yeah, I can hear you, but you could just turn down your background on thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the brothers Colin Huang Ang Vo Bay. 3 years. He said, I declare my nationality, I have allegiance with the Moors. I don't have allegiance with the corporate jurisdictions that are going around the world, pillaging people's land and giving them fake lettuce and fake vegetables or whatever like that, talking about that's real food or whatever. I'm not part of that.
Right.
I'm a naturalist.
Right.
Like I vibrate on the frequency of what the Aboriginal Indigenous people vibrate on. I don't vibrate on on $3 an hour.
Right.
As a Chinese national, I don't vibrate there. So yeah, honors to my ancestors. I'm Huang, but I'm Bay. Don't even play around.
Right.
And because I'm saying I'm Bay, now I can tie myself to Choctaw, Cherokee, Iroquois, whatever jurisdiction.
Got you.
Because the Moorish jurisdiction is the superior jurisdiction. It's not a thing of, being mad at that. Embrace that. Still be indigenous, but just put more on it. What if all these indigenous people put more on Cherokee, put more on Choctaw, put more on Chippewa, put more on all these things, and then start making some claims, see what happens.
Right. So even if one is like a Hebrew, you have to put on there Moorish Hebrew.
That's what they did in Harlem.
Right. Yeah. That is correct.
Right. And look at how that goes under the radar.
Right.
Right. Look how that went under the radar.
For sure.
Because I'm sure that would be the question. Okay, well, if that's the case, then everybody just put that's it. Yeah, that's it. But ego gets in the way, and people want to pump their little whatever as it was the first. This is not about what was the first. From a historical perspective, the last name that these people know our people as is Moors all across the world. They don't know us as any other name.
Gotcha.
They don't know us about Aboriginal, Indigenous, or whatever. They don't know us as that. They know us as Negro, Black, colored, and every other stuff that we call ourselves that we're not.
Right. Hold on, let me show you my screen real quick.
No worries.
Canaanland. Hold on, give me 1 second. Okay. Can you guys see my screen?
Hold on. No, I'm just seeing your logo.
Oh wow, okay. Because I'm sharing my screen now.
All right, yeah, I see it now.
All right. Okay, cool. So when we talk about white and we're trying to change our status,
hold on,
do we put on there native Hawaiian, or do we put on there white, or do we put on there
what's the
American Indian?
Go through all the racial categories.
Okay. All right. So there's American Indian or Alaska Native.
Yeah.
And that's a person having origins in any of the peoples of North and South and Central America, who maintains tribal affiliation or community attachment. Asian, a person having origins in any of the original peoples of the Far East, Southeast Asia, or the Indian subcontinent, including, for example, Cambodia, China, India, Japan, Korea, Malaysia, and the Fiji Islands, Thailand, and Vietnam. Black or African, having any origins in any of the black racial groups of Africa. Native Hawaiian or Pacific Islander, a person having any origins of Hawaii, Guam, Samoa, or other Pacific Islands. And then white, a person having origins in any peoples of Europe, Middle East, or North Africa.
All right. Now, every single one of those is speaking about a corporation.
Right.
Because it's telling you person. So as soon as you check one, even though it might sound in your favor because it says North Africa there, or it says, you know, original peoples, right? It still says person.
Right.
And it's talking about racial. What race? What do you mean racial? What do you mean racial? What are they implying? They're implying that they're dealing with European psychology.
Right.
And if you are Aboriginal and Indigenous and out under threat, duress, and coercion, because this is a colonizer's form that you got to fill this form out, right? Because this is a colonizer's form. This is not Indigenous form, the colonizer's form. So if the colonizer is demanding that you fill this out, I, being that I'm a Moor and I have a status, which means, you know, I could contract in my own land, I would scratch out racial, scratch out all the persons, make my own box, put Moor, check that off, and signature part, all rights reserved on the line, sign over the all rights reserved, and whatever signature, autograph, whatever it is that represents the individual who filled this form out, and I go about my business. Because that's the colonizer's form. They're not telling me about what racial category I am. Who are you? You're a foreigner. How the hell you get? Where you even get jurisdiction to even make forms? Because I read the Constitution right here. They tell me about articles and stuff like that, and people should know ex post facto laws and stuff like that. It's saying that this is Republican, and all these people talk about this democracy all the time.
Right.
All those are things that the Indigenous people should be enforcing.
Right.
If the claim is that we're Indigenous.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. I agree.
Good, but how come they're not making that argument? Because they keep playing stop the pipeline BS. When that's not really what it's not about the pipeline, it's about their foreigners in your land. Forget pipeline. How a foreigner even get jurisdiction to even start making no goddamn pipeline without contacting you when UN declaration said they gotta contact you? If you guys are the Aboriginal, Indigenous, or whatever, how come they never contacted you? To say, hey, we're going to go build this pipeline. Do we have permission? Because UN Declaration of Indigenous Peoples right here, UN DRIP for short and all that type of stuff right there, is telling us that, hey, we have to talk to the Indigenous people before we do anything in their land. Which Indigenous people they talk to? Oh, yeah, they didn't talk to any Indigenous people because the people who are faking to be Indigenous people did some BS treaties with these people, which gave them jurisdiction to go dig wherever they want. And it's the same way that China got in by somebody owing a debt.
Right.
And playing our people because they want to be adjectives, not nouns.
Right. Yeah, I mean that's true. That's true. Because I saw the bill between you and the American Indian Council.
Yeah,
that was a pretty good one. I haven't watched all of it, but that was a very interesting one.
No, well, see, it's you know, the interest comes because in this day and age, in order for people to learn, it has to be some versus whatever. That guy against that guy in order to, because that's what people want to see. That's not what this is about. This is about getting out of mental slavery.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? We crack jokes that there was a Moor that used to be in our chat like a troll. Now he's talking about he's Moor, he's down with us.
Right.
Because the point of the matter is you can't refute the info.
Right.
We could refute Indigenous info all day just for the simple fact that people are using an adjective to identify a noun, which is corruption of language, so you disqualify yourself. We're just continuing the conversation to hopefully make people learn.
Right.
But it's already disqualified from the jump because somebody's saying they're adjective and they're making Indigenous claims. What are you talking about? How are you making claims as an adjective? How a chair talking about you can't sit on me?
That's true.
Oh yeah, you can't sit on me, and then you're sitting there, you're arguing with the chair about how come you have to sit down or whatever like that. Food's getting cold and stuff like that. You stopping dinner and all that stuff to a chair. That's crazy, people. That's incompetence.
Right.
Slap this chair and sit down. Eat your food.
Right.
Talking about.
Right. I mean, that's true. That's true. So, I mean, do you think, because I've heard some more say this, I've heard some more say that changing your status won't solve anything. I've heard some more say it will. What's your perspective on that?
The Moors who say changing your status won't do anything, ask them how come they're not Negro black colored then? If change your status doesn't mean anything, why are they saying they're Moors? Because by not saying Negro black colored, Indigenous, Aboriginal, Cherokee, whatever, you're changing your status. When you say, like they have a thing out here with the young people, that when you call them by the name on their ID, that's their government name, don't call them that, call them their street name or whatever.
Right.
Okay, that's changing your status.
True that.
Okay, how come nobody's not going to them and tell them, hey, how come you want to be called Pookie or whatever like that? We can't call you that. You give me the name that's on the license or whatever. You're not going to go debate him. Are you debating Moors about changing statuses? People change status all the time like it's nothing. Somebody goes from VP to president all the time. That's a change in status.
Right.
Nobody's not going debating them. Hey, how come that guy went from VP to president? He can't do that or whatever. That doesn't work. That doesn't work. You can't do that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Changing status is a mindset. Changing status is putting more in front of indigenous. And watch people get mad. Watch how mad people are gonna get. You start saying J Moore indigenous. Watch how you become public enemy #1 because you sold out to the guy. You sold out to the Moors that sold the black guy and the native black guy in their slavery, and then they start talking crazy, and you start realizing, oh damn, these people really are crazy. They're talking to a chair, talking about why they got to sit down.
Yeah, exactly. Because like, what if I put? I mean, if I change my name to like J Indigenous L or J Indigenous, Al, or what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah, real talk. Because ultimately, it comes down to, do you have a status? Forget all these other people out here playing around. You know what I mean? Like the people who are playing around, trying to convince you that you can't be indigenous Bay or indigenous L, but you could be Black Hawk or freaking, you know what I mean, turtle shell or whatever.
Right.
But you can't be L or Bay? The hell are you talking about? What are you talking about? You could be elephant tusk. But you can't be L or Bay. That's insane.
Right.
That's insanity.
Yeah.
If we look on a real level, that's insanity. That's just as insane as somebody saying, "Oh yeah, I'm black." When black's an adjective, what do you mean you're black? A black chair is a chair, not a black.
Exactly. That's true.
You know? Oh yeah, and also too, for the Aboriginal indigenous people to stop looking at like the white man has some type of whatever that he never got from us in some way, shape, or form. So to go back now and, all those treaties that your ancestors wrote, go get a law dictionary and go look up some of the stuff in those treaties and see how your ancestors sold you out. Have you believe in this black BS when they knew that we're Moors?
Very good.
You hear me?
Yeah. Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Yeah. So before that, once the indigenous people start studying and they go and take the treaties that their ancestors made with these Europeans in the mainland, when they were supposed to send them back to the 13 colonies, hey, go, you want to do treaties? Go right down there, all the way back there where you came from, and go do treaties with those people who gave you those 13 colonies down there. The hell are you doing all the way up here? How the hell are you in the mainland?
I agree. Right.
It's not the people who, because remember, when they came over here, they came knowing that they had the 13 colonies. Like that was their only jurisdiction. Remember, they didn't come here to go roam around and go wherever they want. 13 colonies was their jurisdiction. Now what they trying to do? Tell you that you don't have jurisdiction.
Right. And I think the reason why people hate the Moors is because of the dirty Moors. I think that's why they hate most Moors. Like I say, there are Moors that I actually rock with. You know what I'm saying? There are Hebrews that I rock with. So, I mean, I don't hate all Hebrews. So, I feel like we're too divided. I feel like if all of us were to come together, we could basically be, unstoppable, pretty much.
Yeah, Moor is the polarizing force that you're talking about. Are us united?
Right.
That's why we say put more on everything. We already have the proof from the 1920s that Hebrews are Moors. Why are these guys playing around like Power Rangers in 2018, 19? Like, what do you mean? You guys are Moors. They have the picture to show you that Jews that look like these people who call themselves Hebrew Israelites today are Moors. They're not Hebrew Israelites. Because that's their creed. That's not your status. That might be your spiritual status, but that's not your national status.
Right, exactly. Right.
That's why the Moorish Jews of Harlem were the only Jews invited to the coronation of Haile Selassie and Empress Menen.
Right.
Personal invite. Why them? How come they're getting personal invite?
Right.
They weren't telling them what they're sovereign citizens or nothing like that. They're Moorish. They're Moorish, and the door flung open for them. They got to meet Haile Selassie and Empress Menen. First time in Ethiopian history that a queen and a king coronated at the same time. That never happens. The Moorish Jews got the invite though.
Right. Right.
And then these people are around today are playing like they're not Moors. Come on,
exactly, because it's like I tell the Hebrews all the time, I got respect for you, but you have to understand that, you and the Moors, you all are one and the same. You got to realize that. Remember, there were multiple aspects of Moors. You had 3 sets of Moors. You had Christian Moors, which was like Gnostics and all that. Then you had the Islamic Moors, and then you had the Hebrew Moors, or the Hebrew Moors.
That's a documented fact. So if that's the case, how come people today are calling themselves those things but leaving Moor off? When historically, Moor was attached to Christian. Moor was attached to Islam. Moor was attached to Judaism. Moor was attached to Gnosticism and spirituality and occult and all that.
Right.
All of a sudden, Moor's not attached to anything, and everybody's stupid, and they don't know that people took their birthright.
Right. That's true.
Again, going back to the thing with the Aboriginal and Indigenous, that if you're making that claim that you're Black Indians and all that type of stuff, then we know that you guys are the ones who did the dummy treaties. Because only people who look like us would have jurisdiction to even sit down and talk with these Europeans. It wasn't some red Indians or whatever that we're seeing today. It was people who look just like us that were here in the mainland, that they don't even see the seaboard. They don't even know what an ocean is.
Right. That's true. That's true.
Not going anywhere. If you're indigenous to the Americas, where are you going? You've been there, so that means you've never been anywhere else. Which is cool. All right. If that's your jurisdiction, then that's your jurisdiction. Don't tell me about stuff going on in the world if you've only been on North America. Moors been everywhere around the world. Go check. Indigenous people from America have not been everywhere around the world.
Right.
Okay. So that means they have limited knowledge when it comes to world history then.
Right.
All right. So if they have limited knowledge, what's the point of the Moors? To come and bring the information back. How are you only on the jurisdiction of North America trying to tell Moors who had boats going all over the world who's the first people here or whatever? What the hell are you talking about?
Right. Exactly.
We really want it to be digested because people are gonna talk crazy and we don't want them to think we're crazy. We're put it on the record again. We're giving you the fact that you're Black Indian and all that. We're giving that to you.
Exactly.
Right? We're giving that to you. No.
Right.
Hold on. Oh, yeah. Right. We're giving it to you that we, you, us are the Indians, and we're from this land and nobody was here before us and all that. Taking that position, you only have half of world history.
Right.
Because the most that you might have did is went toward the Pacific. But even those people are going to go claim, they're not going to claim some Hawaii and all that little BS. They're going to claim the ancient stuff when land is now underwater. They're not going to make the feeble claims that the Black Indians are making about some Turtle Island or whatever, and this is it. They're going to tie their stuff to something that's not even around anymore. Forget some stuff that's around right now. So when the Moors come on the scene now, from sailing all around the world now, and we come here and we meet people here or whatever. And these people and us are having interactions. We're trading with each other in unity because we recognize each other as the same people. Why? Because when we came here, we saw moss here.
Right.
We didn't come here and see teepees or whatever. We saw brick and marble and whatever when we came here as Moors.
Right.
And again, we talk about reconstruction of history. Not only that these people lost their mind, but they also lost everything in their culture that represents them because they destroyed everything.
True.
Like we say, the whole front is make you think that they were really pillaging over there when there's really pillaging over here.
Right. True that.
So why don't we just say that we're who it is that we really are, instead of playing the game of the subjugated individual or group or nation or whatever.
Right.
Because remember, the Moorish nation is not subjugated. It's just occupied. Somebody's in the seat that shouldn't be in the seat. Because the people who are supposed to be in the seat want to be Negro, Black, Colored, Aboriginal, Indigenous, and all this other stuff that means nothing. Because all those statuses are dead.
Right, they're titles basically.
That's all. That's like somebody saying, I'm king of the whatever. You're only king until somebody takes your head for going crazy. What do you mean you rule over us and we didn't even put you up there to rule over us? That's dictatorship.
Right. True that. Yeah, I mean, because like what I don't get is like, I don't understand why Moors and more than the Aboriginals, why are they so divided? There's like a lot of Aboriginals, you know, they hate Moors when really I have a lot of respect for Moors.
Okay, let's put it like this. Let's put it like this. Are you a Moor?
Yes, I haven't declared my nationality yet, but you know, I do rock with the Moors. I do rock with the Moorish teachings and all that. But you know, I'm not a Moor.
Let's try this way. If if nationality wasn't papers and cards and whatever, and it was a mindset, are you a Moor?
Oh, absolutely.
All right. Okay. So that's the problem. Your people who claim that they're indigenous, Aboriginal, whatever, can't do that.
Right.
They're stuck on being, they're just Aboriginal. They can't be Asiatics because this is not Asia or whatever like that. Not looking at the bigger idea, but they'll easily be Indian, which has nothing to do with over here. But they're going to claim that before they claim Moor, which has to do with over here and over there, where they're claiming India is because Moors are in India too.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's facts, because I mean, you have dark-skinned Indians that are darker than us. You have some Indians that are, darker than us.
Right. And we know,
from the continent.
Like we know that amongst your fam, it's not going to be the same as in the New World.
Right.
So amongst the fam, we could say, yeah, Cherokee, Chippewa, and yeah, we could play the game with the fam.
Right.
Like we know what's up amongst ourselves if we're talking. If we say we're going to have the Moorish meeting, when we go to the Moorish meeting, there's going to be Cherokees there and whoever else there who know that they're Moors.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if we're saying, oh, well, the Indian meeting, and then everybody's there except the Moors, and then you're mad at the Moors. I'm mad at the Moors. We're not Indians. It's not a diss. It's we're not Indians.
Exactly. It's a combination of both.
But Aboriginal Indigenous can't say that they're not Moors, though. Like we can say we're not Indians. It's not the same.
Right. Right.
Because Moor is not a classification.
That's true.
Because remember, it's going back to the adjective and the noun. That this stuff is stopped before we started talking. This was done just because people are calling themselves adjective. But then when we go look it up, they're gonna say that's a European dictionary. But then when they want to give me a definition of an indigenous word, they're giving me a Cherokee or a Choctaw language dictionary that a European made.
Yeah, like if you type in like American, I mean that applies to us.
So if a European made a dictionary of the Choctaw language and you're going to use that as a reference, then why can't we use Webster's or whatever? It's still a European. Right. So when we look up the European, when we look up the dictionary, they'll tell you that indigenous and Aboriginal, those are not are adjectives.
Right.
They describe. Right? And just like you said, like just like you put it up, right? American, noun.
Right.
In the definition of American is where people get the I'm Aboriginal. If you're Aboriginal, just say American. Why are you saying the meaning of it as who you are? Why don't you just say American?
Right.
Oh, because if you say American, that's a corruption of Al-Moroccan. Because you're really in Morocco if you say American.
Mm-hmm.
You're really saying you're Moor if you say you're American. You're not saying you're Aboriginal. You're saying you're Moor. Because American, M-E-R, vowels are interchangeable. So M-E-R is M-O-R.
Mm-hmm.
So you're Moor if you're an American.
Exactly.
A-M-E-R, vowels are interchangeable, is A-M-I-R, which is an Amir.
But when you look at Moor, it's basically saying that, we're from Africa.
Yeah, okay, well now look at this. Now hold on, now look at this, right? Look at this.
Right.
When we're saying that, when we're saying Moors, we're saying African. All right. How about this? The same Cherokee, Noble Drew Ali, taught us that the true divine name of Africa is Amexem. Amexem. Right? The true and divine name of Africa is Amexem. Right?
Right.
America, just put it back down again so we could see America.
Okay. My bad. Okay.
No, it's all good. Because it's better if you see this. It'll make more sense seeing it. Yeah, just put American up again.
Okay, can you guys see it?
I'm still seeing the more, unless it just didn't change yet.
Okay.
Well, anyways, so American.
You guys see it now?
Hold on. Oh, you know what? Sorry, I'm on the wrong. Yeah, we're just seeing more right now. All right. Okay, there you go. There. All right. Yeah. So American, right? Okay. So remember, a Cherokee told us that the original name of Africa is Amexem, Amexem. All right. When we look at America, it's America. America is AME, the prefix of Amexem, AME, right? And the RICA of Africa is America. Now, if that's the case, then over here is Africa. So Moors are African. But don't get caught up in across some Atlantic Ocean is Africa only.
So you said the divine name is what again? Amexem?
Amexem.
AMX what?
AMEXEM.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I see it now.
And then when you use Google and things like that, now just go for all. Go through all the things. Go through books. Go through images. Go through everything, because the internet's a giant encyclopedia. You're gonna get some BS. You're gonna get some credible things that you can fact check in a real library. Right? Like I know that people would do their best to try to discount what Noble Drew Ali presented to his people, because they're stuck on the point of being a subordinate. That's European thinking. To have have a European say, "Oh yeah, we're gonna give you the whatever," that's European thinking. Because if you're Aboriginal and Indigenous, then you should just be. It's not a case of European having some say of what over here was called or what it wasn't called or whatever. We are the Aboriginals here. All we have to do is find that common denominator that we could all, just like I said again, if more of the people who claim to be Aboriginal and Indigenous would say what you said, that yeah, I could agree to them more. then this stuff will be done tomorrow.
Right, it would.
Because they know that that's the last name that we all fell as.
Right.
We didn't fall as any name after that. That's the name we fell as, so that's the name we got to get back up in.
Mm-hmm. And I agree. I mean, I would agree with that.
Like, how come indigenous people are gonna rep feathers and Noble Juali had a feather? The picture that Moors use most of Noble Juali, he got a feather in a turban, which you know that's Aboriginal and Indigenous. Then they're dissing him. Come on, and he's Cherokee, and he's descendant of Henry Turner, who won the Washita case. All these people talking about Oklahoma, and they got some jurisdiction of taking some indigenous people somewhere on some trail of tears.
Right.
When all that whole stuff there is Mexico, which again goes back to a maxim, which is why again these people's favorite dish is rice and beans.
Are you talking about this? This picture right here? Hello?
Yeah. Once Drew has his turban up, it's feather.
Mm.
Now, you know feather is Aboriginal Indigenous. That's not a question. You know what I mean? The successor of Noble Juali, that's Mili L that you see right there, right? Look, feather, because we're indigenous.
Right.
But we're not playing around that's what our name is, indigenous. So we're indigenous, so we're gonna call ourselves indigenous. No, we're gonna say American, because Aboriginal comes from inside the definition of American. Aboriginal doesn't sit on its own, mean something. American predates Aboriginal.
Right.
Just like the little European form that you were showing, the 181 form. All that is European psychology. Why wouldn't they put more on the form? How come they didn't put that? Because they know that would break the brainwash.
So that was bogus, basically.
Because everybody knows we fell as Moors.
Right.
Everybody knows that when these people started taking over, they started saying knew this and knew that over here. This is not their land. What do you mean New York? York's not over here. York's in Europe. What do you mean New Netherlands and New Spain and New? What are you talking about?
Right.
But that's how they claim jurisdictions, because the people had no status.
Right.
The people wanted to be fictions. The people wanted to be Indians and things that they were not.
Right.
How do we know? Say that again.
I know. I was gonna say. I mean, you are right about Noble Juali being a Cherokee and all that. You are right about him being that. So, his mother was Cherokee. So, but
no, go ahead.
I was gonna say that. I was gonna, say that his mother was a Cherokee. So I mean, I think that both your father's side and your mother's side, they both matter. It's not like, I know how a lot of people say, well, it's the bloodline comes from your mother, but it's actually both. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
it's got two becoming one.
No, I mean, if a child spends 9 months with the mother before it's born and not at all with the father, He doesn't have no say in anything. Everything's through mother. Because all our cultures in ancient times were matriarchal. No patriarchy was ruling anything in ancient times unless mother said that patriarch could stand up. You already know all the Aboriginal stuff had queen mothers, so don't even play around.
Right. But it's crazy that he died early. He died at like 43, which is
because he was assassinated. Because they lie and say that he died of some sickness or whatever. He's Aboriginal and Indigenous. Why would he have sickness?
Right.
What do you mean, sickness? Which Aboriginal people you know have flus or whatever?
Right.
Unless some European came and gave them something.
Yeah, because it says that he has like tuberculosis and
how is he? Okay, look at this. Go on the online thing and pull up Noble Drawley remedies.
Okay. Give me 1 second, guys.
No worries. Take your time.
All right.
Right? You know, people want to fool you into thinking that Moorish Science Temple is some religious institution. But this was not about religious institution. This was about bringing our people back into their Aboriginal, Indigenous, self-governing mind. Stop waiting on these Europeans to do something for you. Moors are Aboriginal and Indigenous people. So Noble Drawley was given Aboriginal and Indigenous people jobs and all that stuff. They had factories and stuff like that in Noble Drawley's time.
You're talking about this?
Right, it should be.
I mean, not. Hold on.
Yeah.
I apologize, Moor. I apologize.
No, you're good, Moor. You're straight. No worries. No worries. We're not those people.
Right.
Go to images instead. Don't even go to those. Remember, like I was saying, okay. when you're doing research on Moors, don't stick to the all, because when you stick on all, you might get played. Right.
I mean, I definitely need to do some. I need to do some research on the Moors. Like, do you have like any PDFs? You can email me or whatever. Any PDFs or?
You just go to rvbaypublications.com. But but I was saying to go to search, go to Google search and look up Noble Drawley remedies. But when you go under images, you'll see an advertisement for 3 bottles. Just keep scrolling down. You'll find advertisement for selling some bottles or whatever. Or actually, you know what? Go to the one that says Professor Drew.
Where?
Under images, second row from the top, there's a thing that says Professor Drew. Just go to that and click that.
Okay. Give me 1 second, guys.
This is how religious Moorish Science Temple is. You tell me if this isn't Aboriginal and Indigenous right now that he's going to be talking about.
I'm still looking for it.
No, it's right there. Professor Drew. It's on the second row on the right.
Second row. You got my second. That's more science.
Second row from the top.
Give me 1. Oh, okay.
Second row from the top. Last one on the right. Professor Drew. It says on the top.
Oh, okay. Okay, I got you. Click on the whole thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right? So that's going to direct you to an article that was in Noble Drawley's newspaper. So this article was in Noble Drawley's newspaper, and this was a national newspaper. So this went all over. And in this article, he's talking about him being the Egyptian adept student. Now, being the Egyptian adept student, he says that he has a remedy that can cure everything, including tuberculosis. So how is it that he's dying of tuberculosis when he's Aboriginal and Indigenous and had the remedy for that? Somebody's lying on this man. And
because a lot of people think that through Ali, that if you read the Circle 7, that's plagiarized from what was the guy?
Yeah, Levi Dowling.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this question. Let me ask you this question. How come they don't say Levi Dowling plagiarized the Asiatics that he got it from? How come they say Noble Drew Ali, their brother, plagiarized something, but they're never gonna say the enemy, Levi Dowling, plagiarized something? Isn't that sellout activity? Don't laugh. Don't laugh, because Noble Drew Ali is our brother. And our brother brought us something to save us spiritually in a literary form. A European brought some of the same things to do that for Europeans, save them spiritually. They're going to look at their brother and bash him, telling him that he plagiarized some Europeans, but they're not going to say that the Europeans plagiarized the Buddhists that they got the book from. And then they're not going to say that the Buddhists plagiarized it from wherever they got it from. But Noble Drew Ali plagiarized it though. That's sellout activity. That's downing on a man when you don't even have to do that. What did he do to them that they got to lie on him like that? What did he do to them that they're going to lie on him like that? Because that's a bold-faced lie that he plagiarized some European book that he brought for the salvation of European people, which really the information in there is credible. So even if he did plagiarize it, he's not doing nothing wrong, because that European got that stuff from some Buddhist monks who are probably dark-skinned people. So what he was really doing was reclaiming the stuff back from these Europeans better than any one of these so-called indigenous Aboriginal chiefs ever said that they did, because all they did was get checks from this European. And they're talking BS about Noble Drew Ali. Tell any of them bring their chief to the front, pull their bank account. Bet you they got deposits from the goddamn European. Talking about their Aboriginal indigenous, but they got checks from the European.
So let me ask you this, Canaanland. What do you think is more important to us right now? Do you think we should be a spiritual people, or do you think we should be religious? Like, what do we need right now spiritually that makes us up? True spirituality, or do we need a religion? Or do we need like a mix of both? Because it's like the good brother Todd Tariq said, the masses get dogma, not religion.
Right. When we look at what Noble Drew Ali presented, he said divine and national. Divine would include spiritual, religious, and whatever else is included in that.
Right.
We already got that. What we're missing is the national part that's activated once you have the spiritual part. So our people have been harnessing all of this spiritual energy and putting it into dead names all the time. That's why we have nothing. That's why we look like some clowns to everybody on the planet. Because we have the spiritual power, but we're putting that energy into adjectives.
Right.
So how are we going to have anything? We're going to be used like the things we're claiming we are. And there's no discrimination on things. Things get used, whether it's a screwdriver, a screw, a lighter, a speaker, weights, a chair, a heat, whatever, a book. Things get used. They might get thrown off the balcony. Nothing personal. It's a thing.
Right.
No, they're mad.
Right.
Jolly brought us out of that and said divine and national for a reason. Because just like what you're asking, he knew that it was coming to that point where the divine is going to be so overloaded that these people are going to need a release valve.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can't just harness divine energy. It has to be, you have to exert some of it into something. This is not the physical, this is not hoarders that you could just pile up stuff in a room and think that, oh yeah, I'm gonna keep stuff. This is energy.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, that's true.
So it's not, you know, do we need more of whatever? There's divine and then there's national.
Right.
The divine, we've been had Phil Valentine and Delbert Blair and all that stuff. We can't say that we don't have nothing divine. Stop the BS. We Bobby Hemmett, all of that. Any type of Aboriginal, Indigenous shaman or whatever like that, use ayahuasca, went into different realms or whatever. We have divine.
Right.
But obviously divine alone don't work. That's what the problem is. Praying alone doesn't work. You have to also read the Bible. You also have to do good. You can't just pray and do evil and think prayers are going to work.
Right, correct. And that's the same thing with meditation, because, like, for me personally, I do both. I mean, I pray, but I also meditate as well, and they're both effective.
Yeah, because it's going somewhere. You're not putting it into dead stuff.
Right.
You're putting that into your existence on the earth plane. So it's going to manifest something.
Right.
We got that. What about the physical part now? That's the part where the problem is. And to master that, you better have a nationality to ground yourself, mooring again, right? We're talking spiritual, right? Spiritual would be the waters, right?
Right.
And then the national would be the land.
Right.
So from the spiritual onto the land, you have to ground yourself.
Correct.
You can't just from the spirit world into the body and then be a bag.
Right.
No, you're a living entity.
Right.
You have a claim in this place that you don't even know where the hell you're at, how you even got in this body. Fingers are new and all that stuff. You don't know what's going on. But you notice that every time somebody says something to you, they keep repeating that or whatever, you keep looking over there. So I guess that's my name.
Right.
Then you go through all that to realize that, damn, they've been calling me stuff that's not even me all my life. That's why they did Truman. That's why they did Truman Show. But Aboriginal Indigenous people, you know, they live off the grid or whatever like that. So they don't get to see what's going on in the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And again, like somebody said in the chat, you know, why do we need any titles? Because trust me, the spiritual stuff alone doesn't work.
Yeah.
These people in Haiti, they did their little spiritual stuff, and then they went with machetes to go do the physical stuff.
Right.
They didn't just go sprinkle some whatever, burn some sage, and then think these Europeans are gonna drop dead from some cholera or whatever.
Right.
They got the spirit of their ancestors and went and kicked people's ass. They didn't sit around marching and laying down in the street about some pipeline. They went and they hatcheted people to death for their freedom. And these Europeans actually left them alone. And then later, the dummies later, who didn't get the point of what self-governance is, of course, you know, majority of those people, they got their little sellouts in there too. Which is why we're in the situation we're having this conversation right now. Because people thought that spirit alone is what's going to do it. No, spirit alone is not going to do it. There has to be a physical aspect to the spiritual to manifest on. What do you mean spiritual alone? You just meditate so nothing happens in the physical? You're just meditating. You just burning sage. You just burning sage just so that, you know, the house could be smoky for no reason. You're doing that to get a desired effect in the physical, to better your existence in this place where you don't even know where you're at. And I get it, you know what I mean, with regard to, yeah, we're spirit beings, so why not just deal with the spiritual? Yeah, we could say that when we're only spiritual. We're not only spiritual right now. We got earth plane to deal with. What you mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And the best way to deal with the earth plane is to start with having a nationality. Don't worry about all that tribal whatever. This is not 1600s where you don't have some European corporation telling you about you're gonna get vaccinated because you have a card that says you're Indian.
Right.
We don't care. You better not have our property if you're claiming that you're free. You better not have something that we gave you and you're talking about, well, no, you can't do that, European, or even in this case, Chinese. Because those are the guys who you're dealing with next. And they don't play stateless.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that if the Chinese were to get into some real serious power, then we're in trouble.
What you mean? They got something billion or whatever. Just them.
Yeah.
What do you mean when we are in trouble?
I mean, what I'm saying is that, like, they're killing Africa. I mean, they're completely destroying Africa.
Yeah, but again, why? Because these people want to be African. They're saying Asiatic. All right, well, Africa's part of Asia.
That's true.
Okay, so if Africa's part of Asia, then why are people saying they're African? Why don't they say that they're Asiatic and start making claims?
Right.
Oh, but European psychology got them too. Because when you go check them, all of them are Christian. They got European Jesus up there talking about they're the Africans or whatever. How are you African? You telling me about some European Jesus? The hell are you talking about? You're definitely not the people where we say we're descendants of Africans or whatever like that. That's not the people today that's over there.
Right. Exactly. Because Africa is heavily colonized, big time.
Berlin Conference. Berlin Conference. Or even better, Walter Rodney, how Europe underdeveloped Africa.
Right. I mean, it's crazy. It's completely crazy. But
it's all because the people don't have a status. The people choose to be stateless. So once you're claiming stateless, then you don't have any jurisdiction. Then you start playing, oh, wow, we never seen these Europeans before. Hey, come on down. And whatever like that. You just gave them jurisdiction. Because you already know that you're peaceful people and all that type of stuff, and you know you're gonna give anybody anything. It doesn't matter or whatever like that. And then certain people know, oh damn, you're just gonna leave your knapsack open just like that with your laptop right there. Oh shit, man, just grab this laptop.
Yeah.
But whose wrong is that? Is that the wrong on the guy who grabbed the laptop or the jackass that left his bag open?
Yep. Yeah, man. I mean, it's hella crazy, man. It truthfully is, because like we have so much to do, but so little time to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like for me, I'm all for us, you know, reclaiming America. Well, actually, let me rephrase that: the Americas, as well as Africa, because you know, this whole planet is ours.
Exactly. Exactly. And the whole planet is bombarded with people who choose to be stateless, which gives quote unquote elite people an upper hand. Because once the people claim who it is that they really are, they become activated. Like for example, we had a number of people who claiming their nationality saved their life. Right? Claiming their nationality saved their life.
Right. All right.
Because they didn't know themselves. When they found out that they're Moors, they started studying Moors. They stopped studying Black Indians. They stopped studying Black Indigenous Aborigines of whatever. They stopped studying Africans. They stopped studying all the fictions that we've been calling ourselves. And they started studying the history that nobody ever wants you to go study. And they found out so much stuff that their children right now are in these European schools getting hundreds, bored. Forget colonize me. I know I'm a Moor. I know I'm not Black. You guys not getting me to do Black History Month or none of that. This is the child we're talking about. This is not adults. Children. Children knowing.
Yeah.
And they're standing on it. They're not standing on some Black Aborigine, use them as some mascot during school play BS.
Right.
They're not even in the school play. We're Moors.
Canaanland, hold on 1 quick second, all right? I'll be right back.
No worries.
Okay, all
right. Right? Moor doesn't mean black. Greeks said that Moor means black. Aliyah. Robinson, the European name. Don't talk crazy. And like we said, because you're late, we already know Black people are always late or whatever. That's why the world doesn't respect you people. Because you're late people, and then you're coming here talking about people are from Africa or from island. What island? I'm from Morocco, which is America. And all these Americas is not some turtle island. That's a fiction story made by a European. Tell me about some turtle island. This is Morocco. Again, because we told the Aboriginal people that it's their fault for making these dumb treaties with these Europeans. And go check. There's actually something called dummy treaties, a real thing, where they talk about the Aboriginal people who made fake treaties with the Europeans. And then they're talking about Moors. We did our part. We had them held to the 13 colonies. It's the black Indian whoever's that got these people going into the mainland and don't want to deal with the fact that they had sellouts amongst themselves that took these people into the mainland, brought them into the tribes and all that. Crazy amount of movies they have about it, little sellouts. And we're not talking about some red Indians and all that BS. We're talking about dark-skinned people in the Americas who sold out their own in order to appease some Europeans.
Multiple, my bad.
Good.
There was multiple tribal wars, and we're not talking about it. It was a plethora of tribal warfare going on.
Yeah. And why is that? Because people calling themselves something that they're not.
Right.
The only reason that there's going to be tribal war, if you know, when we look at, you know, Dominican Republic and Haiti, that's one place. What the hell are you guys talking about? I mean, you guys two different people on one place, and you're talking about you're something else.
Right. Crips, Bloods, all that.
Right? I mean, you got both of you guys are gangs, but you're talking about you got parts. What do you mean parts? Both of you guys are gangs. Why don't you just be one gang?
Right. Right. Yeah, man. Yeah, for sure.
You know.
I mean, because like I said, I don't have any kids, but when I do have them, I'm probably going to have them homeschooled. I don't want them to go into the private sector of schooling because that's ran more so by the Jesuits or the Jews, and the same with the public schools. So I think the homeschooling is the best way to go about it. Right?
Yeah, but again, you gotta have your own school for that.
Right.
And we're not talking about somebody's basement.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about school.
Right.
Which, you know, again, you know, our people, they don't want to look for what their children could have. They want some immediate stuff right now.
Right.
Right? Because they're gluttons, which is one of the 7 sins, which is why we have nothing, because we're sinners. We keep missing the mark.
Right. Exactly. Because that's what sin is. Like it says in the Bible, sin is what? Transgression of the law.
Oh, law, right? Oh, okay. But that's right. Bible, though, right? Oh, the Bible talking about law. Oh, interesting. I thought Bible is religion and whatever like that. Why are they talking about law in there? You think they're not dealing with divine? The only way that you're talking about law in some religion is because you're dealing with divine.
Right.
Okay, well, Noble Ali said divine, and nobody's following him. They're telling him he's a plagiarist from some European. But they're gonna be good knowing that, you know, the Bible says law in there though.
Right. I mean, I deal with the Torah. Like I say, you know, it's a book of laws. I mean, if any more cannot build from the Torah, I don't know. I mean, I find that to be sad because I mean, the Torah there's a lot of excellent law in there. You know, there's communal law, there's commandments, there's statutes, there's all
but remember, there were Moorish Jews. We know that already.
Right, yeah, correct.
You know, but again, correct. Stuff that slip under the radar. That we already got Torah locked. Moors got that locked because there's Moorish Jews. Moors got that locked. Forget some Ashkenazis, forget some Europeans claiming that, forget some Hebrews or like whatever. Moors had Judaism unlocked. Still have it unlocked to this day because they're still around right now and they're not playing that BS that they're Hebrew Israelites. So who you riding with? You riding with the people who said that they're Hebrew Israelites just yesterday, or the people who been saying that they're Moorish Jews since the 1920s, and they're still around today. Who you riding with?
Exactly. Exactly, because
you're playing around.
That's what it's really about. Mm-hmm.
That's what we're saying. Just attach more to it. Stop playing. You want to be black? Okay, attach more to it. Stop playing. You want to be African? Sure, no problem. Attach more to that so we could have some unity.
Right.
What's the big deal? You're going to be everything else. You're going to be from planet. Black is a frequency and a vibration and all that stuff. But you're not going to be Moors? But you'll be black? Moor is a frequency and a vibration too. What's the problem?
Right. Right.
Moor is a frequency and a vibration, just like black is.
True.
Okay, so why be black but not Moors? Why be indigenous and not Moors? Why not? Why be Aboriginal not Moors? Why be autochthonous and Aborigine but not Moors? Why be Cherokee and all these different tribes but not Moors? Something's wrong with your people.
Right.
Because easily, like you say, hey, yeah, I should have a J Indigenous Bay or L. Why not? If I can go with the Torah and all that stuff, and then L comes from Canaanites, which is the ancestors of the Hebrews, then why the hell can't I say J Indigenous L?
Right. Right. Or J Indigenous Bay or J Indigenous
or J Indigenous Ali or J Indigenous Day or Al or whatever. I mean, why not?
Right.
We're not talking about some religion or some whatever. We're talking about birthright.
Right.
We're talking about this is a right. Say that again.
I said because Ruth was a Moabite, and she clinged on to. Ruth was a Moabite.
Yeah.
And she believed in the Most High.
So there should be no question with anybody.
Right. Exactly.
And again, if we go back to that thing of, well, why not Indigenous and Aboriginal? Nobody drew all these Cherokee. And he didn't call himself Cherokee. Like if a Cherokee born is not going to say, I'm Cherokee, I'm a Moor, then who the hell am I to say something different when I don't even know what the hell I am? DNA test is going to tell me unless grandma's around or whatever. Or great-great-grandma. These people today know who they are. But when we look at ourselves, we know that, we're different than other people.
Right.
We know that the little bit that we were told, we might be able to do some research or whatever. We'll find our name on some stuff that said Indian or whatever like that, which just letting you know that you're from here.
Right.
But then you have a reference point of somebody who was also from here that said, hey, all those names that they're calling us or that we're calling ourselves, we think that that's what we are. We're not that, we're Moors.
Right. Exactly.
And
if you look, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, let me pull that up again. Got it. I know I had it. Okay, here it is. If you look at Indian and all of its meanings, it's got about 8 or 9 different meanings. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot.
Hold on. I'm checking to see. I'm not seeing anything yet. It didn't switch yet.
Okay.
It's still showing your
You guys
logo. Oh, okay, it's going now. Yeah, you're saying with Indian? Hold on. It's just there's a little lag in this. It's all good though.
Okay.
Yeah, so with Indian, yeah. All right, now read the first one for me.
Okay. It's an adjective from India, and this is from Indus, the river. The name of a river in Asia, pertaining to either of the Indies, east or west. Indian.
Okay, so hold on. So hold on. Okay, so that first one, right?
Right.
Adjective from India. All right. This is when our people that say they're Indian. This is what they mean according to a dictionary. Remember, we're not in India right now.
Right.
From India, right? The name of a river is a river, a person, place, or a thing.
It's a thing.
All right. Are things nouns or adjectives?
Things are yeah.
Yeah, because the adjective describes the thing. It's a river.
Yep.
It's not an Indian. It's a river.
Right.
Named Indian, but it's not an Indian. You're not gonna look at the river and say, "Oh yeah, there's an Indian down there, under an Indian going under the bridge." That's how stupid it sounds. That's why you're laughing. And then again, it goes back again to Indies, East or West. East Indies, West Indies, which has to do with the Caribbean. Again, adjective, right?
Right.
Which is letting you know that it's not an identity, it's a descriptive term. Indian.
Exactly.
All right, so now the next one now.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go to the other one now.
Okay. Indian, a general name of any native of the Indies, as in East Indian or West Indian, is particularly applied to any native of the American continent.
All right. So a general name for any native of the Indies. Right? General name. Right? Okay, so anybody in East India or West India would be Indian. Right?
Right.
Anybody can claim that. Anybody that's native of the Indies could make that claim. It is particularly applied to a native of the American continent. Now remember, earlier we read American in the same dictionary.
Right, correct.
Okay, and what did that say? That didn't say Indian in the American definition.
Right.
The American definition said Aboriginal.
Right.
Which lets you know that they're playing around with you when they start saying Indian.
Correct.
And that because people don't study, they wouldn't think to look up American to see the American is not a continent. America is a continent. So when they're saying American continent, they're talking about the continent owned by the Americas. The Americans, who are the copper-colored natives who were here before the European came here. Because again, people are going to play the game that they know that Indian has to do with India, so try again. We're not, but they're the ones that saying they're Indian.
Right.
Which is a fiction. They'll allow people to squeeze that in and say Indian on them, and they won't correct anybody. You just took yourself out of indigenous position because this is not India.
Right. Exactly.
And again, going back to the Bible, everybody knows that that's the sun pages and it came from the lessons of ancient Egypt. So don't even have these people play around that, oh, the Bible, and that's not real. That came from real sources. It's corrupted, but there's an origin of the Bible, which is dealing with actual real sources.
Right. Egypt, Samaria. So yeah.
Right, and for Joe 47, That why not copper-colored Moors if you think everyone here are Moors? Why even have copper-colored if we're saying that we're Moors? If we're saying we're Moors, we're already saying we're copper-colored. So why say Moors twice? Yeah. And not only that, when you look up color, now pull up what is color? Black's Law Dictionary in the search.
Okay.
Them Moors just do a lot of wordplay, and it's not new to us because the paleface use wordplay. Okay, let's go see wordplay, because again, the Choctaw has a dictionary that was written by a European that they use, the Black Indians use to show what the Choctaw language is or whatever. So don't tell me any BS about European whatever and dictionaries. When you look up what is color in Black's Law Dictionary in the search, it's going to give you the definition of color, but from a law perspective, not from this dumbed down perspective that these people are used to.
Right. You see it?
Yep.
All right. An appearance or semblance or
yeah, that's the one. That's the one. No, go ahead. Keep going.
Okay. All right. As distinguishable from that which is real.
Say that again.
Basically, language it's a fiction. It's not real.
Okay, so if it's a fiction and it's not real, could we be copper colored?
No.
If colored means fiction, when we say we're copper colored, what are we saying?
We're saying that we're fiction. That we're not real. We don't exist.
So when we say that we're colored people, what are we saying?
That we don't exist at all.
Oh, okay. Does something that does not exist have rights?
No.
Oh, okay. You understand why they could kill our people in the street and nobody else now? You understand why they could take all these so-called Indian women and have them disappear and nobody knows what happened to them and they can't do anything about it? Because they're being colored. They're being fake instead of being Moors.
Right. I mean, it's right here plain today. So.
When you're telling me that you represent your Aboriginal, Indigenous, whatever, and your representation is Washington Redskins logo, you're a clown. And the world does not respect clowns. They just use them for whatever they use them for. You go talk with Moors. You go on Facebook and look up Moors. All you see is L's and B's. They're not playing their pigeon tail and all that BS.
Moors, Bays, Alis, Mohammeds.
Because it's free national name. We're making a claim that we are not these fictions. We are not these colored labels.
Right.
We are not these colored labels.
Exactly.
They stay wanting us to be colored, which is why we lose. Which is what you figured out, because now you read it for yourself now. Now you can't play that. You don't know what the colored BS when they try coming at you now. Well, yeah, we're the copper colored, whatever like that. And you start feeling funny because now you know what it means now.
Right.
And then you say nothing because you don't wanna, that's your boys and you're one family and that's your people and whatever like that. When they're selling you out by calling you colored, they're setting you up to get your head taken. They're putting your head down on the platter for you by saying, "Hey, we're a bunch of copper-colored natives of the Americas, Turtle Island," and then people disappear, and nobody knows where these people went.
Right.
Not a good friend.
I mean, as you guys can see the definition, you know, it just means natural born subject. But I mean, anyone can be a native.
What does it say? Natural born what?
Natural born subject or citizen.
Oh, natural born what? Subject to who? Who you subject to?
To their jurisdiction.
Oh, okay. Oh, by birth too. Not even by birth you're subject.
Right. Yep.
By birth you make yourself a subject by claiming you're native.
Right.
You're not
so
native.
Anyone can be quote unquote Native American.
Anybody. Because anybody that's claiming native is subject to the jurisdiction of the United States, which is a corporation on paper.
Yep.
The only claim we have to make is that we're Moors. And again, they keep saying that Moor means black. Moor only means black to the Greeks. So only Greeks would say that. People outside of Greece would not say Moor means black. They would say Moor means Moroccan. Moor means Mauritanian. Moor means Lemurian. Moor means Mauryan. Moor means Moro. They would never say Moor means black. Only dumb Negroes talk like that, who don't know who they are. And they are under European psychology. That's why they talk and they act like Europeans.
Right. Right. Yeah. So, I got two more questions.
Yeah, more. Go ahead.
The first one is, when we speak of Allah, and I understand the term, you know, arm, leg, head, you know, all that. Do you think it's okay to call the creator like Yahweh or like Yahweh or Haya or Ahaya or quote unquote God or what have you?
I'm going to yield the floor for Brother Yusuf to handle the Hebrew question.
Okay.
If he's still there.
Peace, bro.
Peace, man. Peace.
Peace, yo.
Peace, man. Peace. So when we talk about the Yahweh situation, is it okay if we call the creator like Yahweh or like Heya or like Ahaya or Yahweh or the All or Allah? Is it okay if we call the creator like different names? Or does the creator or is the creator like bound to like one name per se?
Okay. I like that question. That's a good question. Okay. Now, like you said earlier, the master teacher Taj, he teaches us people get dogma, not religion. So
right.
Those names that you're using, I know what those titles really mean. So when you're saying Yahweh or Yah, what is it? YBH?
Yeah. Yahweh.
Yeah. Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
But that is literally the creator or creation, because those letters themselves are what make man on the periodic table. If you get the book Genesis Decoded, it breaks all that down, where the name Yahweh is basically man on the periodic table. But the thing was that Europeans have just
came up with the periodic table recently in the 20th century. It was the thing is, we knew that in ancient times. Thousands of years ago, we already had it scientifically. This is what creates man, which is, you know, atoms, matter, and stuff like that. It goes right back to the periodic table. But so when you want to say, oh, the creator, automatically, just because they may not know what they're saying, I know what they're saying. So to me, knowing what they're saying, I don't mind any of those titles. Like you said, arm, leg, arm, head. I know what that's again the creation of man. What makes man? Arm, leg, arm, head. We're back to science again. I already know, so I have no problem with none of those because I know what those words really mean. But I'm not. See, again, I didn't say anything about worshiping some man or we came from some man from the sky. I'm not talking about none of that. I'm talking about science. Right. You know, so when that's so I already know what the difference is, you know. So when someone says, oh, the creator, I don't have a problem with it because I know. But I also know they don't know. Right. You know, because yeah. Go ahead, brother. Oh yeah, because like if you look at like the name Ahaya. Ahaya can be found in the Kabbalah, and it's the highest name on the Kabbalah tree of life. So that's another good name to call upon, I would say. Right, and we know the tree of life that goes right back to the Kundalini and the activation of the 7 chakras, pineal gland. So when they even speak of that, you know, we automatically know. We're not talking about spookism. You're talking right back to science again. The activation of men, putting together men, how we science. You're not talking about, some guy in the sky, you know, praying and begging on our knees and stuff. Like, no. When you're dealing with spirituality, when you look up spirit in the dictionary, it says the breath. So Dr. Aline teaches us different, you know, activations of the breath to activate the chakras, so we can activate the pineal gland. You know, and that's what true Sufism is, the activation of breath. You know, so when they even say, oh, Islam came from some pale Arab, no, that's fraud. Because you can look up, we're Sufi. We do Sufi Egyptian. If you look up ancient Sufi Egyptian, the Egyptians were doing Sufism. The Olmecs was doing Sufism. Sufism yoga. Because that's a world code. We were all over the world. We know that. Right. You know, but again, we wasn't doing the Olmecs and stuff predate all of this Bible and all of that stuff, and we was already doing yoga, Sufism, which is the activation of the breath. It's not some spinning in circles doing with, you know, dresses on and stuff. That wasn't what it was. What it was. Right. It's not what it is, you know. Dr. Aline does a beautiful breakdown of what true spirituality is. You know, he breaks that down very well. Got you. Okay. Thank you for that, brother. I appreciate that. Canaanland.
Peace, Moor.
Okay, last question. What do you think, or how can we move as Moors under, quote unquote, President Donald Trump? You know, like, what does he represent to you? Well, both of you guys, and then
just to quickly speak on that, he's a president just like Walmart has a president.
Right.
I ain't concerned what Walmart president's doing.
Right.
Because that's his own jurisdiction.
Right. Correct.
You know, you might go in there and get something, As far as the corporation that Trump's part of, it has nothing to offer myself. I'll yield on that. Brother Yusuf could, because he's more closer to that jurisdiction than I am to speak on it properly.
Okay. Oh yeah. But basically, just no. Just to add on to what the basically added on to what the Grand Sheik said, because it's the same thing. But yeah, Donald Trump, he that's like you said, of a corporation. Like, but the thing that really, because we all know that, like the Grand Sheik said earlier, we're occupied, you know. So I know he is sitting in my seat, you know, like doing but everything they're doing in our seats isn't de jure. You know, it's fraudulent because the ones who supposed to be, like you said earlier, want to call themselves Negro, colored, Black, Aboriginal, there's a bunch of adjectives, and they're in our seats, sitting there playing house. That's the only problem I have. And people thinking, you know, the playing of the house is real, you know, and going along with the stuff, thinking they really voting, which they people need to go look up that word in the law dictionary too, voting and stuff like that. They need to look up those terms and see that they put themselves in the Roman venues. But that's a whole nother thing. But again, those he's German, foreigner, operating a de facto corporation. You know, like that's has nothing to do with it. If anything, we need to be worried about what we're doing. Right. You know, how we're going to be getting our stuff back, because like I've been telling the Grand Sheik, these people stole our bikes, and we need to get our bikes back and stop running the mob talking about we want a new bike. She's not buying us a new bike. We better go get our bike back. Right. True. True that.
You don't bring if you don't bring that bike back, you get your ass beat.
Exactly. Back. And we've been getting our ass kicked for the last 50 years.
Yeah.
There you go. I was just about to say that. There you go. There you go. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's it right there.
You know what I mean? So you just start. So then it's all about standing up. Before you stand up, make sure you know who you are. Exactly. And then stand up. Yeah. Then go take your bike back. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Right. Once you know how to punch, Debo's not an issue.
Right. Yep. Well, guys, I definitely I was gonna say I definitely appreciate you guys coming on the platform again. We gotta do this again.
Thank you, bro. Thank you.
I was thinking we were gonna do like a Google, like a basic hangout, but this is kind of interesting. So, but
because like I was saying, it's the whole thing with the streaming. You know, you got one computer, you're limited, so we gotta take advantage of all the avenues. You know what I mean? So if worse come to worse, you know, maybe it's you know, all the people could be on your stream or whatever. You know, we still do the phone, and you know, we still do what we do because we're here and you fine. Once you have your, you know, volume up, we're straight. But give thanks for the bill, Mark. For real, it was a good one.
Oh yeah, appreciate it, guys. Appreciate it, man. You know, go ahead. I said, no, good things. I said, yeah, for sure. I'm to that. Yeah, sure. So, Islam to you guys. I'm definitely looking at some law books. You know, I'm still looking at some law books.
Yeah.
So, I'm still looking at those. So, definitely. So.
Yeah.
But you guys have a good one.
You too.
And it was a great build. And
we'll build again soon. For sure. We definitely will. All right, boy.
Yeah. Peace, more. Good things, man. Good things.
Peace.
Oh, yes, sir. All right. Peace, guys.
Peace.
All right. Have a good one. peace.
So there it is, Morris. Now we'll just take the last few minutes, sit back and let Brother Yusuf give us his commentary on. I had a plan, yo. I had a plan. So the fly on the wall, fly on the wall. Let us know what you really experienced just now.
You know, in the beginning, I was a little nervous, and then I said, "It just, Grand Sheik, you did great, man." Like I was like, "Yo, you doing good." Like the way you handled it, you know, the way you presented everything, you know, it wasn't. I'm not gonna beat y'all up, you know. Maybe there's a misunderstanding that y'all don't understand and stuff like that, and then like broke it down. You know, let him himself break that read law definitions. You know what I mean? Like I love how you did that. Like, yo, you read it, you're gonna know exactly what it means now.
Yeah.
And then like I didn't see the chat or nothing like that. I wish I would see what was going on in the chat.
Yeah, it wasn't too crazy. It wasn't too crazy. It was just two people in there talking crazy. Yeah, two trolls, but he didn't have too much people on there. There was probably maybe I think 7 or 8 people on it or something.
But when I started realizing, I was like, oh, this is gonna be good. You know, like this can be this turned into something. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, okay.
Straight.
Like then, you know, the Noble Jew Ali, you know, maybe as you breaking it down with him being Cherokee and stuff like that, and you guys were talking about it, you know, me being the third party from this outside watching, I was like, man, that just looked like he did that on purpose. Noble Jew Ali being Cherokee, like for this moment going on right here.
Yeah.
Just make sure, like, y'all know, like, wait a minute. My prophet is Cherokee now. Like, you know what I mean? Like, wait, like, hold on. Y'all acting like that's not what it is. You know what I mean? Like that, we know that, but he's letting y'all know, like, no, that's not what it is.
That's not
so,
what
like,
it is.
You know, the Aboriginal Indigenous people, they have to suck that in. You know what I mean? Like, they gotta really sit there, like, yeah, man, like he got the feather and everything. You know what I mean? Like, yep. You know what that means. You know what that means with the feather. Once the feather is in there, that is Aboriginal Indigenous, Cherokee, born on the reservation. What else do you want? You know, he said he was Cherokee, but he didn't told you. That's not what we are. We're Moors. You know, and you breaking that down, like it was beautifully said. You know, we didn't have to read any books. You know, it was a good bill. Like your brother, you know what I mean? I was like, oh, yeah, we didn't have to even bring out any facts like that. It was just, you guys already know this stuff. It's just maybe, you know, because it was cool the first time too, you know, but like you said, like once you were around your friends, and you know, like them my boys and stuff like that, you even broke that down perfectly. But even gave them the mom pops treatment with but you know, you calling them your friends, but they behind the scenes doing you wrong. You know what I mean? Like you really want them to be your friends? You know what I mean? Like the mom pops treatment. Them ain't your friends. Your friends over there acting crazy. You know what I mean? But you want to do the right thing. That means your friends. Ain't you? And then he had another. I think he had another Moor on the line with him.
Mm.
And because that wasn't me that kept laughing. I don't know. Is the mayor on the line with us?
No.
No, it's just me and you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, he had another Moor on the line with him. And I can hear his laughing.
I thought it was him laughing.
You said what?
I thought that was him laughing.
No. That was somebody else laughing the whole time. I was like, dang, that's somebody else laughing. That's somebody else because it was two other people kept saying, yup, that wasn't me. That wasn't me talking. That was somebody else talking. And I was like, dang, that's somebody else saying yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And laughing real hard. He couldn't even hold it in. He was laughing so hard. When you got on them Hebrew Israelites, he was laughing so hard. I said, that's the dude right there. Who is that? He liked it that. But the Haile Selassie one was a killer. You know, that too. You know, him giving the Moorish Jews a personal invite.
Mm-hmm.
That was another killer. You know, how you broke that down? I was like, yeah. You know, like, they got the personal invite. And I'm like, dang, man, all these so-called Jews and stuff out here, and only y'all got the invite? Nah, that's big time.
Big time.
That was big time.
Huge.
And to hear that's the first time that has happened, you know, with the king and the queen.
Yeah.
That's never happened. I'm like, oh my goodness. This is going over everybody's head right now. I've never heard none of this.
Crazy. Yeah, man.
It was a great bill. The bill was crazy. I thought it was, you know, it could have turned into something else, but it didn't.
Yeah.
You know, it's because it's that time. It's that time.
Yeah.
Because people start knowing, like, wait a minute. Yeah, all right. You keep dissing the Moors, okay, I'm going back and forth, whatever, all right. But then when the cameras go off and everybody is going back to their living room and they realize, dang, I got to pay this. I got to get my son up in the morning to bring him back to this hellhole school. I got to, you know what I mean? It start hitting you real. Like, yeah, man, the Moors is really what it is, exactly. Like, we're not just saying what we're saying to go back and forth with people. We trying to help save ourselves. You know what I mean? Like, yo, come on. Like, stop that.
Straight.
And it's clicking like, oh, you know what? You start playing these games, going back and forth so I can get my house in order.
Yep.
Because that's what it's starting to look like. I'm starting to see a lot of people come to, you know, you got, what is it, Roots Words? He's kind of came in senses. You know what I mean? The Aboriginal, Indigenous people, you had one of the sisters, she made a video, and she was like, oh, the Moors was right. I went to the Library of Congress. There's people on there with feathers and turbans on. Yep, okay then. Yep, the Moors was right. All right, that's it. That's coming from the Indigenous people, so they know. You know, they know it.
Yeah, they definitely finding out.
And they know. Come on. All these, they go into you know, you do your little Indian whatever background check. Okay, you find out you Cherokee, quote unquote Cherokee, and then you go find out the chief of the Cherokee is some Irish guy. You know what I mean? And you're like, yo, what's going on? You know what I mean? Yeah. It was a game.
Yep.
It was you was chasing something that wasn't real the whole time.
Chasing our fiction.
Remind me of that video. Why would I teach you people how to become a nation? You think they would just tell us that that we're Moors? Why would they do that? That just doesn't make sense. That's like you in a fight and the dude say, hit me right here. And like, that's exactly what puts him to sleep. Like, why would he tell you to hit him there? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Yeah. Why would I tell you that it did put his hands behind his back and let you hit him? Like, no. Nobody on earth would do that.
Yeah.
The dude that stole your bike, he is not about to bring your bike around the corner talking about, you know what, I shouldn't have did that. He is not doing that. You know what, I shouldn't now. He's going up to a whole new crowd, showing people, look at me.
Look at
You
me.
see me, right?
Look at my bike.
You can see me, right? Oh, where you get this from? And he's talking about you. This little punk that I moved over there. And, yep, all of that.
Got his bike.
All of that. He thought he was doing something. Well, right over there, pushed him off his bike. He ain't even say nothing.
Nothing.
Talking about, I'm indigenous. I said, oh, okay.
Give me your bike.
Give me your bike.
Give me your bike. You're Indian? Give me your bike.
Give me your bike. You're Indian? Give me your bike. That's exactly what he did. Yep. Now you gotta go get your bike back. You gotta go get your bike back. But you can't go back talking about you Indian, and you can't go back all frail and stuff. You better get big, because Debo took your bike.
Go get big.
Better go get big now. And that's what we're doing right now.
Okay, yep, making them big. Making them big right now. Give thanks to the good brother Jay Indigenous, Bay Al De Ali.
Right. He knows he's a Moor.
He knows he's a Moor.
Absolutely.
That's all. That's what's up.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he gets the wiser. He get the wiserhood for that one.
Oh yeah. I'll be using him from now on.
You get the wiserhood.
Yeah. He's a Moor. He's a Moor.
Oh, we got 2 thumbs downers. We got 2 thumbs downers.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
mad. We know they're gonna be mad because we got Jay. We got Jay on our side now. They're mad. Don't be mad. Just be Moors.
Don't be mad.
Don't be mad. Be Moors.
Don't be mad. Be Moors.
Peace and love to all the Moors worldwide. I will that you enjoyed our little session to build with the Indigenous family that want to know more about their nationality and birthrights. So peace and love to all. Any closeouts, Brother Yusuf?
Yeah, give thanks to the Green Sheik for the platform. Give honors to the Prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Give big, because that's the foundation. Give thanks to the Prophet. And give thanks to the chat muftis and everybody in the chat. Give thanks to all the Moors. Islam.
Islam.